excited to have from Article 3 Project, the founder and president, Mike Davis, to tell us a little bit about what he knows about the Director of National Intelligence and what I almost said Gabby Giffords, Tulsi Gabbard actually released on Friday, and more of it coming. Is this actually going to lead to justice? I personally think, I kind of understand what Donald Trump was saying over the last couple of weeks, where he was talking to people, and people like me, hey, can you shut up about this? This doesn't matter. I think knowing what Tulsi was about to release, this is ground zero. This scoops everybody up into a grand conspiracy, at least the way I read it. But is anything going to happen? Are there going to be any indictments? Where does this lead? Mike might be able to navigate through these waters. Hi, Mike. How are you?
Doing well. Thank you for having me.
You bet. So am I reading this right or not?
Justice is definitely coming in this case, and I'm going to make damn sure that happens very loudly, very publicly from the Article 3 Project, like I've been doing for the last 3 years since the Mar-a-Lago raid. Over 4,500 media hits, constant opinion pieces, constant social media. What President Obama and President Biden and Brennan and Clapper and
Susan Rice
and so many others did to President Trump and his aides and his allies is an ongoing criminal conspiracy against rights under 18 U.S.C. Section 241. When you politicize and weaponize intel agencies and law enforcement to go after your political opponents, that is textbook conspiracy against rights. And that's exactly what President Obama and Biden and Hillary and all of them did back in the White House in 2016. The statute of limitations for federal felonies is generally 5 years, but for conspiracy, the statute of limitations does not start running until the conspiracy ends. You have to disavow the conspiracy. Not only have they not disavowed the conspiracy, it's ongoing, and they continue to lie and cover it up.
It's the same people that were, every time there's a fire, it seems like the same people are around that fire. The Hunter Biden laptop story, same people. The people around Joe Biden when he was forced out as president and Kamala is chosen, same people. Every single time, same people. So what makes you so confident that justice is coming? This time is going to be different. So I kind of feel like Charlie Brown with Lucy and the football.
No, I get that, but I'll tell you this. I have worked very closely with President Trump and his White House counsel team and his Justice Department, including Attorney General Pam Bondi, Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche, FBI Director Kash Patel, Deputy FBI Director Dan Bongino, Harmeet Dillon, the head of civil rights, and so many others. I have very publicly advocated for accountability here. This last election was about lawfare and accountability in addition to immigration. So it was a big part of this election. Mm-hmm. I think this lawfare against President Trump is what put him back into the White House. If the Democrats would have just left President Trump alone or even wrote a scathing report instead of doing these 4 indictments for non-crimes and trying to bankrupt him for non-fraud, he would be retired in Mar-a-Lago. He is back in the White House. He is the first time he ran for office, he had never run for office. He had never served in office. He had 4 years in office. He had 4 years in the wilderness to reflect. He had 4 years facing lawfare. He is ready to govern and govern decisively on day one, and his team means business.
So tell me what the Mar-a-Lago story really is in connection to what we found out on Friday.
The Mar-a-Lago story is this. Hillary Clinton had her illegal home server as Secretary of State, not only with our nation's most classified secrets, like stuff on Benghazi, for example.
Right.
It also had the Clinton Foundation pay for play foreign bribery schemes. She had her home server. She is taking how many millions of dollars to the Clinton Foundation from these shady foreign actors It's underfunding her lavish lifestyle, private jets and fancy travel and just general fancy lifestyle for the Clintons. These hillbillies are living large. And what was she doing in return for these millions of dollars as the Secretary of State? Was she doing official acts? Was it foreign bribery and corruption? Guess what? She got caught. There was a subpoena for her server. What did she do? She bleach bitted the server and took hammers to the phone. She thought she destroyed it. She thought no one was ever going to get this evidence. But guess what? It was not a secure server. And so Russia, China, our worst enemies, almost certainly hacked it, and they knew this. And they thought that this was going to come out before the 2016 election, this foreign bribery and corruption, that maybe the Russians were going to leak it. And so what did Hillary do? She worked with the law firm Perkins Coie, Mark Elias, with the Biden White House, the Biden Justice Department. They made up the Steele dossier, Russian collusion hoax. They lied to the federal FISA courts, the Intel court. They lied to the court with this made-up evidence. They got spy warrants on President Trump and his team as the presidential candidate. They continued to spy on him as the president of the United States. They hobbled his presidency. What they wanted to be able to do is, if this came out before 2016 election, they wanted to say, you can't believe this. This is a campaign dirty trick. The Trump campaign is colluding with the Russians. Ignore this. And you say, that sounds crazy, Mike. How could you possibly think that? Well, that's exactly what they did with Hunter Biden's laptop in 2020 with the CIA working with the 51 former Intel officials to say you can't believe the Biden corruption on Hunter's laptop because this is a campaign dirty trick. And so when Trump declassified Crossfire Hurricane the day before he left office, he was going to publicly release it. The deep state spooks at the FBI, DOJ, ran to CIA, ran to the White House and said, you can't release this. You're going to reveal sources and methods. You're going to violate the Privacy Act, which is a crime. So Mark Meadows, the chief of staff, said, okay, do your Privacy Act review and get these out there. That was the day Trump left office. They didn't do the Privacy Act review. Instead, they did the Mar-a-Lago raid to get back Crossfire Hurricane records that Trump declassified. But guess what? Maybe they didn't get them, and maybe that's why we had the Biden White House coordinate with Tish James and Fannie Willis and Alvin Bragg and all these other Democrat operatives around the country to try to bankrupt Trump, throw him in prison for life 4 times for non-crimes, tried to take him off the ballot. Biden tried to get Trump killed when he underfunded Trump's Secret Service protection twice and said that Trump was the gravest threat to American democracy and said to put a bullseye on him. That is what we're going to learn through all this.
All right. So is there enough here to indict Obama or Brennan or Clapper or any of these people?
Well, based upon what Tulsi Gabbard has said, it sounds like it. Now, remember, there's the issue of presidential immunity for the sitting president of the United States.
Right.
So any indictment of President Obama would have to go through a presidential immunity analysis to make sure that what he's doing as his core constitutional responsibilities, he's absolutely immune. What he's doing in his official capacity, separate from core constitutional responsibilities, he's presumptively immune. But here's the problem. What President Obama did after he left office, when he continued to conspire, if he continued to cover it up, if he continued to conspire, he could not claim presidential immunity.
So, Mike, there are people that say, in fact, the New York Times said, this is not a story because what the president was talking about was digital conspiracy to hack into the voting records, not a propaganda war. And that's what he had changed. Instead of focusing on the digital, he instead went to a propaganda war. And that makes all of this nonsense.
No, the Democrats' argument is nonsense. They went after President Trump for the non-crime of objecting to a presidential election, which is allowed by the Electoral Count Act of 1887 and the First Amendment. We don't see Democrats objecting to Republican presidential wins in 1968, 2000, 2004, and 2016. Al Gore, John Kerry, and Hillary Clinton aren't in prison for objecting, right? And so They went after Trump for the non-crime of objecting to a presidential election. What they did was a real crime. They politicized and weaponized intel agencies and law enforcement to take out a presidential candidate, to take out the president of the United States, to take out a former president of the United States. They lied to a FISA court. They continue to lie to Congress as late as 2002 in congressional testimony when there was allegations of perjury to cover up this ongoing criminal conspiracy. They continue to lie to this day. So these are real crimes. I can't think of a bigger scandal in American history than politicizing and weaponizing a political party, including their leader in the White House, politicizing and weaponizing intel agencies and law enforcement to take out a political opponent and a sitting president and a former president. That's what you do in third world Marxist hellholes.
Address critics of people who say this is just political retribution. This is just a banana republic type stuff. You're just going after Donald Trump's enemies.
We are the Trump 47 Justice Department should and must bring accountability, because this is republic-ending stuff by what Obama and Biden and Hillary and Brennan and Clapper and Comey and Rice and so many others did here. When you politicize and weaponize law enforcement and intel to go after political enemies, you can't get worse than that. Those are Soviet-style tactics. That's Iranian-style tactics. That's CCP-style tactics. Those are republic-ending tactics, and there must be accountability for this.
I hope we see it. I know she said more stuff is coming out this weekend. Tulsi did. She said more stuff will be coming out this week. That's what she said over the weekend. Any idea when you would actually see actual movement on this, Mike?
That's a good question. We want to, I think the Trump 47 Justice Department needs to make sure that they have their I's dotted and their T's crossed. They cannot fire in this year. This has to be done correctly, but there must be accountability, and there must be grand jury subpoenas. There must be grand jury evidence, grand jury testimony.
Should there be a special counsel?
So I would say this: I do not like special counsels.
Yeah,
I think they're unconstitutional. I think that a U.S. attorney could handle this. For example, the U.S. attorney for the Southern District of Florida can handle this case. There was a strong nexus to Florida. Remember, that was the Mar-a-Lago raid. They can open up a special grand jury in Fort Pierce, Florida. And there's a nominee right now on the Senate floor who needs to get confirmed. His name is Jason Redding Quinones. He's a friend of mine, and I think he's a judge in Florida, and he would be an ideal person to open a special grand jury in Fort Pierce, Florida, and bring to open this investigation. And if the evidence leads to it, bring these indictments.
Mike Davis, Article 3 project founder and president. Thank you, Mike. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
You bet.